Hello and welcome back to my channel. Once again, same intro because I don't know what else to say. Hi, this is Just Too Cole and welcome back. Okay, I don't know. So I wanted to give a shot at something different because I like different. I like to change things. It's my channel. I can do that. I want to know you guys' input. So, feel free to do that. Few things. So I am not at my typical place where I film. That would be our dining room, but it is now preschool and second grade and 2 offices, so we're not messing with that. So I'm in my room, actually sitting on my dog's bed and his toys. But anyway, and I actually did a little bit of makeup and a little bit of hair because why not? I haven't done it in weeks. But anyway, I wanted to do Reddit stories because I listen to a lot of these on YouTube myself, and I wanted to give it a shot to see if I could, I don't know, try something different. I don't know, okay? I'm just thinking out loud and okay, so let's get into it. I'll try to do 2 to 3. 3. I'm hoping to do 3, but they're kind of long. So the one of them that I picked out is posted by Fossil Full 12. That's kind of hard to say. Fossil Full 12. Okay, and it's called "A Fake Uber Driver Tried to Lure Me into His Car." This happened about a year ago. There were so many terrible factors working against me that night. I'm astounded I got away unscathed, at least physically. I don't know why I'm going to read. I'm just going to read it. Don't judge me, okay? I may have a little bit of actions here and there. Okay, this all begins when I'm at my friend's apartment, who lives in a really rough part of town, in a series of poor decisions. That night, I decide to get belligerently drunk and take a few pills of God knows what. I know. Safe to say, after a solid night of partying around 4 a.m., I was not in the right state of mind. My drug-addled brain decides that instead of staying the night at my friend's apartment like I normally would, I wanted to Uber back to my own apartment. I am terrified of Ubers. Not really, but I'm skeptical. Words. They're not my strong suit. Okay, my friend's apartment had 2 separate entrances and exits to the building, one in the back unit parking lot of the building and one facing the street. They had 2 sets of keys for each door, and I only had keys to the one in the back of the apartment. Since my Uber would obviously arrive at the street and in the... Okay, so I haven't read these beforehand, so bear with me. Stop hitting the microphone. Do I need my reading glasses? Probably. Okay, since my Uber driver lost my place, since my Uber would obviously arrive at the street and the door in the front of the building locks itself behind you, I exited the way when the driver was soon to arrive. Okay, looking back, standing outside that apartment, I realized I looked like the easiest target on the planet. I'm a small, petite female in my early 20s, and I can hardly stay upright. I'm using a street lamp to prop myself up and not doing a good job at it either. The light was basically a beacon for any nearby predators. Why can I not read? I'm so sorry. Okay, any nearby predators saying, "Come get me." I'm not paying attention to my surroundings at all in this state, despite the fact that there was literally a bullet hole in the front door I just came out of. Not good. Well, she said it was a bad area and a series of bad decisions. I remember checking to see what car I was getting picked up in and was only able to pick out the fact that it was a black sedan. Soon after stepping outside, a black sedan pulls up to the curb and starts rolling down the windows, so I step forward. Before this man even spoke, I could feel something was wrong. Always pay attention to your gut. He had an expression like he was tearing me apart with his eyes. After seeing that look, I gave him a meaning to the word predator to describe a criminal because I then knew what it felt like to be a prey. He basically barks at me. I'm your Uber driver. I was thinking bark, Like, oof. Okay, I'm your Uber driver. This was the second red flag and somehow made its way through my brain. Okay, normally Uber drivers just roll down the window and say fossil full 12 in replace of her name, or any other version of that, but always including your name. I think I stared at him for a second, my brain slowly piecing together the situation I was potentially in, and I asked him, "What's my name?" He immediately is enraged and starts screaming about how he doesn't have effing time to do for this and just get in the effing car. She actually says that, but I mean, I don't know why I'm not going to. I just don't feel it right now. I don't think I've ever sobered up so fast in my life. I'm completely panicking. Obviously, this wasn't my Uber. Quickly checking the license plate, I immediately see it's not a match. Meanwhile, this guy is still screaming at me, and I have absolutely no idea what to do. If I bolt in either direction, this guy could easily outrun me or have a weapon. I'm pretty sure at this point that if he tries to nab a random girl off the street, he must have a weapon of some sort. I can't run back into the apartment door right behind me because it locks behind you. She said that. And I don't have the keys nor the time to unlock it. Running towards the back door would do nothing, as well as he's idling right by the mouth of the driveway towards the back parking lot. And again, I would have to take the time to find the right key and get in. If I screamed, I'm not exactly in the type of neighborhood where someone would try to be a vigilante, and I can still hear the music radiating from my friend's third floor apartment. I knew they wouldn't hear me. Also, it's 4 a.m. and absolutely no one is around. People talk a lot on this sub how they either sprint into action or freeze, but I felt incapable of doing either. It was the absolute worst feeling I've ever felt in my life. Everything in me wanted to run, but I felt that if I did, it would be the end of me. But if I kept standing there, staring in shock at this screaming man, the result would be the same. From when he started screaming at me to this point, I'm guessing only 20 seconds has passed. Just as he's looking like he's getting ready to get out of the car, another black sedan pulls up right behind him. Checking the license plate as quickly as I can, I realize it's my actual Uber and make a full-time sprint to the car. Really only like 6 steps, and throw myself in screaming at my real Uber driver, "What's my name?" Yeah, okay, I can see that. The poor dude looks terrified, but responds with my name quickly, to which I reply, "Get me the F out of here. That man is trying to kidnap me." I could only imagine the real Uber driver's, what he's thinking. Like, what the hell? What's going on? What's my name? Say my name, bitch. Okay. Anyway, I understand the situation here. It's not funny, but sorry. Okay. If I was in the Uber driver's position, I would be too shocked to react as quickly as he did. But my dude flew out of there, offered to call the cops for me, which I declined and now regret, and then walked me to the front door of my apartment, ensuring I got inside safely. Truly an incredible human being. You can rest easy knowing he got the fattest tip in my college student bank account would allow, although he deserved much, much more. So to the man who ruined my sense of security and caused countless anxiety attacks when out in public for months, let's not meet. P.S. Although it took a while, I'm doing great now. Stay safe, y'all. Wow. So I have read a lot that people somehow are, I guess, hacking into Uber and finding out that you, I guess, or whoever has requested an Uber driver and pretending to be their Uber that they called for, when in reality, it's not. That's kind of scary. I'll be honest. So I think 2 days after my own incident, the news was talking about that girl in South Carolina who was drunk and got into the wrong Uber, and her body was subsequently found. We were both college students and the same age. I think that's when I fully understood how lucky I was. Ooh. That was the creator of this post, Fossil Full 12, replying to, wow, her story. That gives me chills. Okay, so I mean it was scary, but it's real life. That's the thing. These Reddit stories are just absolutely crazy because they're supposedly real. I mean, there was nothing in that one that wouldn't seem to be real, but I mean, some of them, like the paranormal stuff, I don't want to get into that one or to those. I'm just going to stay on the let's not meet. And I've got another one, if I can find my saved ones, that I thought at least the title sounded good. I don't really like that I'm not looking at the camera. Well, I don't look at the camera half the time. I look at my eyes and the screen. The camera's right there. So it's about the same. I'm looking down at my computer reading the stories. Now this one I thought was kind of good too. It's SUV Tried to Pull Me Over on Rural Highway by Sylvia Rath 69. Cool name, Oprah. Okay, it's a medium story. I've been reading the subreddit for a while, and this is my first post. This happened to me about 2 years ago now, but I think about it a lot. Even to this day, I get scared when I think about it and what might have happened if my dad wasn't there. During this time, I was going to grad school in Texas and visiting my family in Kansas City. I had just finished my visit and was driving back to Texas. I started my drive about an hour in, and I got a flat tire. I called my dad and he told me to call roadside assistance and he'd be there with AAA card as soon as he could. He got there, roadside assistance put my spare on, and we went off to the nearest Walmart to get all my tires replaced. The nearest Walmart was about 20 miles away and we were in a pretty rural part of Kansas. I was following my dad, driving about 55 miles an hour since I was on a spare. There weren't a lot of cars on the highway, basically just me and my dad. My dad was a little bit ahead of me, so I don't think it was apparent I was following him. Somewhere along the drive, I noticed a dark-colored SUV behind me. He was flashing his lights at me, swerving onto the shoulder and then back into his lane, accelerating so he was really close to my car, and then he would fall back a bit. From the time I noticed him, he did this for about 4 or 5 miles, which is a really long time when you're in the moment. I was about to call my dad because I felt like this was incredibly strange. Like I said, it was a pretty rural area and there were no cars around. If this guy was upset I was driving slowly, he could have just gotten into the left lane and passed me, but he continued to flash his lights, tailgate me, and swerve onto the shoulder. At this point, my dad saw what was happening, took an exit, and parked on the shoulder of the exit. I followed. The exit was not the one we needed to take. It was a rural exit onto a gravel road. Wow. And I don't think it's used very frequently. Lo and behold, the guy followed me as well. I pulled up behind my dad, who was already out of his car with his arms in the air saying, "What the hell?" Go Dad. At this point, I think the guy finally realized that I wasn't truly alone. He slowed down, looked at both of us, and hesitated for a second. And then he took a hard left onto the gravel road and took off. At this point, I thought about trying to get his license plate, but I was too late. Always. I know people don't think about that in the moment, but okay. I still kick myself for not looking at the license plate sooner. I get it. You're busy. I know this post may not be scary to some others, but this situation really scared me. We called the police to report it, but there's not much they could do since we didn't even have a license plate number. However, I did learn that if ever in this situation again, to call Highway Patrol, not 911. When you're on the highway, you travel through so many jurisdictions, that it's better to just call the Highway Patrol directly. Maybe common sense, but it wasn't something I had thought of before. Since that day, I have the number for Highway Patrol in my phone just in case I ever need to use it. Now, I am doing the Let's Not Meet one because I want to give people, if you don't read these stories, that is, I want to give people a little bit of, I guess, knowledge and background of what can really happen if you don't have your guard up. As soon as you let your guard down, I mean, these can happen. These are true stories. I mean, yes, these are the stories that end well, I guess you would say. That obviously they're here to tell it, but not everybody's situation is that way. You hear it on the news. I don't listen to news often because it's all bad, but I mean, I'm very heavily I guess because I listen to Reddit stories a little too much, I have my guard up constantly when I'm out and about. I try to pay attention to my surroundings, especially when I have my little girls with me. Now this one, the title really caught me. That this is the night that the psychiatric ward, I wasn't the one watching. Or that night at the psychiatric ward, I wasn't the one watching. Okay, this is Safe Spot. Crap, I forgot how to do Roman numerals. VII. Is that 7? 5. I think it's 7. Don't come at me. I forgot Roman numerals. That's embarrassing. It happens. Okay, this one, it's not too long. And I'm not sure if his name is Frank, but it's Franck. It's a different type of spelling that I've seen for Frank, but we're gonna go with that. So sorry if you user safe spot VII because I can't think of Roman numerals right now. I am Frank. I am a nurse in a child hospital for 7 years. Before that, I worked as a nurse assistant in different places, mostly psychiatric clinics or centers for the disabled. These places have lack of people to work in because of the particular patients they take care of. And that's true even if you can experience joy or moving moments with these persons. Oh, I was like thinking moving things. And I'm like, this is paranormal, isn't it? Okay, sorry. Violence is a great part of your daily routine. And that is sad and terrible, but like he said, the type of people. Oh, this one's a little bit long. At the time, I just switched from taking care of elders at home to night shifts. My girlfriend wasn't my wife yet. We didn't live together, and and we thought it would give us a lot of spare time to see each other. Now, if you ever did night shifts, it looks fair and square on plane, but I tell you that staying awake for 10 hours and bearing responsibilities when your mind tells you every 5 minutes to take a nap, it's really hard. On the other hand, the paychecks are really good. Yes. Most companies give a little bit of a bonus for night shift. Not all, but okay. Anyway, basically I moved from places to place every 2 months or so. I'm trying to read it, but this grammar, I should have read this before. Okay. I started work, so basically I moved from place to place every 2 months or so. That way it was easier not to get bored and to avoid sleeping on the job, because sadly that's what happened once you're used to the ward. The patients and the facilities, you end up being clumsy, and eventually you unconsciously allow yourself to pass out for 20 minutes first, for 2 hours afterward. Hopefully I never reached that point. I started working in a psychiatric ward. It was beside the hills at the far east of the city. The neighborhood was extremely quiet and poshy. You could tell it by the number of the bear lines and sports cars parked everywhere near big villas. He is not American. I think that's the problem. Okay. The psychiatric hospital itself was shabby and parts were grossly rebuilt. It seemed misplaced with all those fancy houses around like a gaping scar on the face of a model. I thought we would be two persons at night, like it's a common thing, but in the ward they only put one staff at night. It was shaped like a cross with the infirmary desk at the center. By myself at a psychiatric ward? Even in the middle? I don't know about that. The 6 first nights I spent there were okay. The patients were asleep when I arrived. There wasn't too much to do with the treatments and except taking out some trash. It clearly was some well-paid lazy time. Third night I remember the day shift talking about a patient who ran away, but I didn't pay much attention because this happens frequently. Actually, it depends of the way the patient is checked in. It needs 2 signatures, one from the shrink who diagnosed the mental illness and one from the doctor who decides to put him in the hospital. Way too often the first one forgets to sign the file bill, and the hospital has to send a notice to the local medical court. Some cases take 7 months to be read in court, so if the patient bails out by himself during that time, the hospital isn't in charge to take him back. The staff is never anxious about that. 85% of them come back within 1 week. The other 15% are still a mystery for me. That night, I just checked all the over-door alarms with my keys before heading to the infirmary to have a cup of coffee. From the moment I took the shift, something wasn't feeling as usual. The patients I visited to give treatments were strangely silent, no laughing or joking. From 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., I checked 6 times behind furniture and sofas. It was like someone was following me from a short distance and stopped in the dark when I looked back. Ooh. I was coming back from the trash containers when I came across the living room. The couch had blackish stains on it, and I was certain that wasn't there when I arrived at 9 p.m. Further, I found a green shirt on the floor with the exact same blackish stains on it. Oh, please tell me that's not blood. I decided to come back in the infirmary and lock me in until 6 a.m. When I came back to the infirmary desk, I found a chair blocking the door from the inside. Ooh. When I looked by the big glass window at first, nothing. And then I only saw one bare foot and a bit of pants because of the angle of a person was hiding under the desk. Ooh. As I didn't know who it was and what his or her intentions were, I decided to call the security guard patrolling outside. On the phone, he told me he witnessed a guy running in the park toward the building, but he was sure he was hiding in a ditch around the garden. I told him the guy was actually inside, so he replied that he'd be there soon. That was the longest 25 minutes of my life. Ooh. I called the head nurse, and she arrived 5 minutes after the security guard. At some point, the person moved the chair, and they caught him. It was the patient that escaped 3 days ago. He was shirtless and covered of the same blackish stains from head to toe. They found out it was, okay, I think I would rather it be blood. Okay, so it was shit. He had shat himself multiple times over 3 days. Okay. What they didn't tell me, and that I learned from my colleague 2 weeks after, is that they found a piece of wood with a shard of glass attached to it in one of his pockets. Ooh. They're in the psychiatric ward for a reason. Those weren't too scary, so maybe I'll start off a little light. Those are just the Let's Not Meet Reddit subreddit there, and they're interesting. I obviously didn't pick the scary ones, but not on purpose, just because those are the headlines that kind of drew me to them. Now, I will say, I don't think I've ever been attempted abducted that I am aware of. I was very oblivious to surroundings when I was younger, but there was one time that I had an old Toyota Celica from my sister. It was a 1990. Loved it, and it was older, and I was about 16, 17, I think. No, because I was headed back to college from my parents' house, so I was at least 18. Heading back to my house from my parents' house, and there was this car that was doing the same thing, swerving, headlights, honking, and trying to get me to pull over. I didn't pull over. I waited until I got to a gas station in the town that was next to my parents. It was in between our two towns, or two cities, and pulled over. Don't know where they went. They kind of, I floored it. I was going like 90 or 100 because they were scaring the crap out of me. So I floored it, and then that's how I got to the gas station, lost the guy, whoever it was behind me. And either me flooring it or the reason why they were trying to pull me over was because my car was overheating and it was smoking. So it's not always bad people that are trying to pull you over, but more often, I guess, than not, I would say they have ill intentions. But so if you are that guy or that person that was flashing their lights and honking at a white Toyota, 1990 Toyota Celica, about, how old am I? I'm sorry I didn't pull over and I just floored it to get away from you. Thanks for letting me know that I was about to overheat. Anyway, this has been another video with Just Too Cole reading the Let's Not Meet subreddits. It was different. It was kind of nice. I like I said, introducing different types of videos on my channel. If you guys like this, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you liked it. If you want me to continue doing those, maybe I'll read them beforehand so I can hopefully get a little bit more scary ones. Not too scary, like I said. I don't want to bring in the paranormal type things. I would probably stick with the let's not meet category. But just let me know if you liked it. It was fun. Despite my voice, I think, is about to run out, so I'm gonna go now. But thanks for joining me. I love you guys. See you next time.